They always say food brings people together. And most of the time it does. But what about when one little fork placement or an extra sprinkle of salt does the exact opposite? Well, today we're going to navigate the delicious, but let's be honest, kind of dangerous world of global food etiquette. The goal? To make sure your next meal earns you friends, not enemies. Look, I know it sounds a little dramatic, but it's so true. What's a huge compliment in one culture can be a full-blown culinary crime in another. And these aren't just quirky little rules. They're tied to history, to pride, to family. If you get them wrong, you might just find yourself in the middle of a very quiet, very awkward food war. Yeah, I thought so. All right, grab your passport, leave your assumptions at the door, and let's start our journey. First stop, Asia. Okay, so over here, the rules are often deeply connected to things like respect, harmony, and even spirituality. Let's kick things off with something pretty much all of us have been told to do since we were kids. Clean your plate. Turns out the Clean Plate Club doesn't have chapters everywhere. In a traditional Chinese home, or in many places in the Middle East, if you polish off every single last grain of rice, you're sending a subtle message. And that message is, you didn't give me enough. I'm still hungry. So leaving just a little bit on your plate is actually the polite way to say, thank you, I am absolutely stuffed and you have been a wonderfully generous host. Now let's talk tools. In Thailand, the fork and spoon are a team, but they have very different jobs. Think of the fork as the humble helper, the sous chef. Its only job is to neatly push food onto the spoon. It does all the hard work behind the scenes, but it never, ever gets to take the spotlight by actually going into your mouth. The spoon, on the other hand, that's the star of the show. It's the only one that gets to make the grand entrance. Using your fork to eat directly is seen as, well, a little unrefined. So just remember, the fork pushes, the spoon delivers. Simple as that. In huge parts of South Asia and the Middle East, there's a really important rule about hands. Traditionally, the left hand is reserved for, let's say, personal hygiene. Because of that, it is a fundamental sign of respect and cleanliness to always use your right hand for eating, for passing dishes, or for accepting food. Okay, this one is serious. In Japan, China, and Korea, you never, ever stick your chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice. Why? Because it looks exactly like the incense sticks that are burned at funerals as an offering to the dead. So you're basically creating this really grim, very powerful symbol right in the middle of dinner. Just don't do it. So what about making noise? I mean, slurping your soup will probably get you some serious side-eye in London or New York. But in Tokyo or Beijing, it is a completely different story. A good, loud, hearty slurp of noodles is actually a compliment to the chef. It's your way of saying, wow, this is absolutely delicious. You can think of it as liquid applause. All right, let's fly over to Europe and the Middle East, where a lot of the food rules are tied directly to the host's pride in their cooking, and really their entire culture's heritage. In many Arab cultures, if you reach for that salt shaker before you've even taken a single bite, that's a major insult. It implies you just assume the food is going to be bland. So the rule is, always taste first, praise second, and only then, if you absolutely have to, you can discreetly adjust the seasoning. Speaking of insults, let's talk about Italy. You want to know how to make an Italian nonna cry? Put ketchup on her pasta. Seriously. This isn't just seen as a bad food choice. It's seen as a direct attack on centuries of culinary tradition. You're basically telling them that their heritage, their history, their very soul needs a squirt of sugary tomato sauce. In France, the baguette is basically a sacred object, and it comes with rules. First, the bread belongs directly on the table next to your plate, not on your plate. Second, you tear it with your hands. You don't cut it with a knife. And maybe most important of all, you never waste it. Bread is history, it's life itself. You have to respect the baguette. So if you're a fan of well-done steak, you might want to be careful where you order it. In culinary powerhouses like France or Argentina, where high-quality meat is a huge point of national pride, ordering it well done can be taken as an insult. It kind of suggests you don't trust the quality of their meat or the skill of their chef to cook it properly. And finally, a little word of advice for you. If you are offered tea in Turkey, Pakistan, or anywhere across the Middle East, just say yes. Tea isn't just a drink, it's a symbol of hospitality, of friendship, of welcome. Refusing it can feel like a personal rejection of that hospitality. So really, when in doubt, just drink the tea. So, we've gone through a lot of rules, right?
from forks to teacups. But why do these customs carry so much weight? What's really going on here? Let's get to the heart of it. It's because food etiquette is so much more than just table manners. When you sit down to eat with someone from another culture, you're not just having a meal. You're being invited to participate in their history, their family, their values. Every single rule has a reason, and it's always rooted in a story. And that's because food is identity. It's that recipe passed down from a great-grandmother. It's that fierce regional pride in a specific cheese or a certain cut of meat. It's the whole ritual of hospitality, and it's a form of social respect. It is never, ever just fuel. Okay, so how can you possibly remember all of this and actually use it on your next trip? Don't worry, we've put together a simple little toolkit to help you dine respectfully pretty much anywhere in the world. It's honestly simpler than it sounds. First up, just watch what the locals are doing. It's the fastest way to learn. Second, show respect. Always taste your food before you even think about seasoning it. Third, a genuine compliment about the food goes a very long way. And finally, my personal favorite, when you're offered tea, just accept your fate. It's a gesture of hospitality, and you know what? It's almost always worth it. Look, at the end of the day, don't be afraid to explore the world's table. Mistakes are going to happen, and most people will be incredibly forgiving to a guest who's curious and humble. But by showing just a little bit of respect for these traditions, you're not just avoiding a food war. You're opening the door to a much deeper connection and, let's be real, almost certainly a second helping. So go forth and eat bravely.